I hope you can all hear me quite clearly, please.
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. I think I have about, I'm on the dot of 2 o'clock now. Kemi, if we are good to go. Yeah, I can hear you, Kemi.
I believe we could.
Okay, or you want that we give about 2 or 3 minutes?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm running a countdown, so on the dot of 3 minutes, we can go live. Okay, I think we can start. Once again, I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to all our guests, to all our participants. I welcome you to this webinar series organized by the Africa Circular Economy Network, Acen-Ng, Nigeria chapter. The first in the series of this webinar was held in November 2020 with spotlight on the textile sector. Today, we take a deep dive into the metal waste, looking into circular economy as a catalyst for sustainable ferrous and non-ferrous metal value chain. Already, there's a handful of ferrous and non-ferrous metal recycling going on in Nigeria within small scale and limited resources. We felt the need to put together, incorporating the concept of a circular economy business model in the metal industry and its entire value chain through reuse and recycling of materials already in stock. Metals could significantly minimize energy use and environmental impact associated with primary production, not to mention the new opportunities for innovation, income, and partnership it could bring. Today, the Africa Circular Economy Network Nigeria chapter is using this platform to foster collaboration among governments, private sectors, experts, academics, environmental enthusiasts and key players in the ferrous and non-ferrous metal value chain to birth new possibilities, and we hope that we can create new dynamics in the industry that is peculiar to our context and can scale up local businesses. Without further ado, I'd like to quickly run us through some housekeeping items. Please, we can have the screen. All right, so we have these general housekeeping rules that will guide us through today's webinar series. So we'll kindly request that upon joining the meeting, you could rename the device to appear as your name, that's the participant name. Please mute your microphone except you need to speak. If possible, you may receive calls during the session. Determine the necessity of it or cut promptly. Phone should be kept on vibration or silence mode to avoid ringtone noise. Kindly use the chat box if you want to pass any message across. Think about your actions on camera, refrain from unworthy behavior, picking your nose, all can see you. Well, so let's eliminate distraction and focus on the program. So as we proceed, and to deliver the welcome address is our amiable chapter lead, a chartered environmentalist, and our own doyen of circular economy in Nigeria, Kemi Ajakaye. Kemi, please over to you.
Thank you very much, Wega, and a warm afternoon to distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Wega, before I deliver my welcome speech, can you please kindly run us quickly through the agenda for today? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kemi, for that reminder. So today we have the welcome message that to be delivered by Kemi Ajakaye. We would also have opening remarks, okay, from to be delivered by Chris White. Then we'd have a very short video presentation, followed by a remark from the General Manager, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, LASEPA. We would also have a presentation by the Balita Aluminium System Limited to be presented by Engineer Banjo Adeyanju. We also have remarks from Loma, the MD CEO of Loma. Then we'll have goodwill message, followed by a breakout session. And this is where we have participants and members of the guests breaking into different groups, and then we'll reconvene where we take feedbacks, summaries from the breakout session. We would also have, as one of the highlights of the day, a panel discussion to be moderated by engineer Ms. Folashade Nobi, where we'll return for question and answer session. We will then have a closing remark to be delivered by Abayomi Magwabiola. Thank you, Kemi.
Thank you, Wega. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you to the Series 2 of the African Circular Economy Network Circular Economy webinar. Just like Wega mentioned, in his opening, in November 2020, we had Series 1, which was focused on textile waste, and the theme that webinar was transforming waste into resources through circularity. And so for today, we are here on this webinar, and this webinar is themed Circular Economy as a Catalyst for Sustainable Ferrous and Non-Ferrous Metal Value Chain. Metals are an important part of circular economy for any nation. Indeed, we know that, as they are well suited for reuse and remanufacturing. You must know that metals are almost infinitely recyclable and can be classed as permanent materials indeed. In Nigeria, metals will continue to be relevant for economic and infrastructural development. The metal industry span a wide range of applications and are the major components of many technological innovations. The system of circular economy, although an unfamiliar concept to many, is a system that is as old as time and a system that has a lot of practice in one form or the other. Either consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously, pardon me, we all practice circular economy. I mean, as a child, I remember metal pickers or collectors who do pick informally and for reuse, for recycle, and perhaps for manufacturing. Circular economy in the metal value chain is a key means towards the transitioning to sustainability and helping realize the sustainable development goals. In Nigeria, we will know that Ogun State typifies a strong player and economy for secondary metal production with great potential to serve as a hub in the southwest region of Nigeria. Metals close the material loop without being confined to a single application. We seek towards a future where metal resources present material stewardship, product stewardship, environmental stewardship, and economic boost, where individual businesses that practice circular economy in the metal industry can also reap monetary benefits. We have here today a team of experts, panel members, speakers, goodwill, well-wishers that will be providing deep insights into the theme of this webinar. We must indeed know that circular economy does not mean limitations, but means smarter products, smarter services, smarter business models, driven or supported by top technological and social innovations, and of course, policy formulation. Indeed, we are grateful, we are thankful for everyone joining us on this webinar. There's a great economic opportunity in the metal industry and its value chain, and we at the African Circular Economy Network can't stress this enough. On this note, I thank everyone for joining in and welcome. Thank you, Goyega. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Kemi, for the prompt address, and big ups to you and the brilliant work you're doing with the Nigerian chapter. We will now take a brief opening remark from the founder of Use It, the one who breathes circularity, who breathes and exhales circularity, and has done and made remarkable footprints and contributions to circular economy in Africa. A co-founder, Africa Circular Economy Network. May I at this moment yield the floor to Chris White. Chris, you have the floor.
Right, can you hear me now? Sorry, the host had muted everybody. So see, I've got it back. Thank you very much. Welcome everyone. Yes, I'm Chris White. I'm a director and executive team member at the African Circular Economy Network, as well as the chapter lead for South Africa. So a very warm welcome to one and all protocols observed. I'm not really much one for standing on ceremony. Today, we have our esteemed colleagues from the government sector, the development sector, the knowledge sector, and the business sector, as well as the Vice Consul of Economic Affairs from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The African Circular Economy Network is the network for circular economy practitioners in Africa. Acen is a voluntary and virtual organization made up of over 100 country representatives and chapter members who combine to form over 30 different country chapters across Africa. The Nigerian chapter is one of the most active on the continent. For those of you on the call who are in Nigeria and are not part of the Nigerian chapter, I urge you to look at considering your membership. Acen's vision is to build a restorative African economy that generates well-being and prosperity. This has to be inclusive of all of its people through the circular economy, including new forms of economic production and consumption, which maintain and regenerate its environmental resources. The circular economy is a multi-sectoral approach to designing and imagining the world we want to live in. This includes sectors such as materials, manufacturing, water, energy, infrastructure, tourism, biodiversity, amongst others. Today, we're going to address some of the circular economy opportunities in the metal sector, which obviously falls under materials. but it can also form part of infrastructure and manufacturing. So this is why we look at the multi-sectoral approach. So what is the role of metals in the circular economy? In practice, this involves ensuring that materials are produced responsibly, that they're kept in use for as long as possible through intelligent product design and application that considers both recycling and disposal. It also raises fundamental concerns about the structure of a product in terms of its value chains and how they interfere and interface with the world around them. Metals are a very important part of the circular economy for any country. They're well suited to reuse, remanufacturing, and can be recycled many times. However, capturing the full environmental benefits of metal products also requires good product design to ensure that components can be easily disassembled and a supportive regulatory environment is established to enable the full benefits of the circular economy for metals to be realized. It's important to note here that raw materials are crucial to the global economy. Reliable and unhindered access to certain raw materials is a growing concern within the European Union and across the globe. To address this challenge, the European Commission has created a list of 27 critical raw materials, or CRMs. And this is just for the EU. All of these can be sourced from Africa, and the bulk of these are metals. As such, the timing and content of this webinar is strategic. We look forward to the insights of our learned colleagues here today in this webinar. And again, my thanks to my friends and colleagues in the Nigerian chapter of Acen. Those of you who aren't, please join in bringing light to these important discussions. I look forward to the day's discussions. Thank you very much.
Boyega, kindly unmute your mic.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll take that again. So thank you, Chris. And like I said, if there's anything that I know you are committed to and that will be consistent, that will be circular economy. Thank you. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, in 2020, with the report titled, "The Consequences of a More Resource-Efficient and Circular Economy for International Trade Patterns, a Modeling Assessment." The report says that a global resource efficiency and circular economy policy package will cause secondary material to become cheaper while primary materials become more expensive to produce. So by 2040, primary non-ferrous metals are projected to decline by 35 to 50%, primary iron and steel by 15%, and primary non-metallic materials by around 10%. We will now have a short video presentation to showcase circularity in metals and e-waste. Thank you. Simi, could you please roll the video?
Nigeria is home to huge volumes of electronic waste generated home and abroad. According to UNEP, over 1 million tons of discarded electronic appliances are processed annually in Nigeria and has become a source of harm to human health and the environment. There are a handful of facilities located in different parts of the country. According to the International Labour Organization, an estimated 100,000 people earn their livelihood from the informal e-waste recycling sector in Nigeria, collecting and dismantling ferrous and non-ferrous metals, an operation which is significantly marked with negative environmental footprints such as pollution and generation of waste materials. Over 52,000 tons of brominated plastics, 4,000 tons of lead, 80 tons of cadmium, and 0.3 tons of mercury are burned or dumped in Nigeria every year. It is known that the primary production of metals is highly energy intensive, with serious environmental and social impacts. Therefore, urban mining of metals from in-stock roofing sheets, batteries, and other metal devices in the society would be critical in the future as a strategy for resource management and environmental protection. The concept of a circular economy business model makes much sense in the context of metals. Metal characteristics such as strength, durability, ductility make them infinitely recoverable and recyclable. Therefore, there is an urgent need for a thriving system that fosters efficient material flow in the metal value chain that results in resource efficiency, energy conservation, and a cleaner society. As we look towards a sustainable future for the ferrous and non-ferrous metal industry, finding answers to the following questions is critical. 1. What does circular economy imply for the metal industry in Nigeria? How will this enhance efficiency, supply, and demand flow? 2. How can we improve the recovery of materials, enhance product design, and eradicate negative environmental impact? 3. How can a transition into a circular economy create new markets, investment opportunities, technical and capacity development, and a thriving metal industry? You can become a partner in building a circular economy in the metal industry by visiting the Africa Circular Economy Network, Nigeria chapter on www.acen.africa.
All right, thank you all for watching. That was truly a call to action, and I do hope it will inspire us to do more. We will now take a special remark from yet a quintessential public health practitioner whose work cuts across public and private sector, industries, businesses, and NGOs, promoting good practice in regulation, an advocate of circular economy. She is the General Manager, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, LASEPA, Dr. Dolapo Fasawe, for her special remark. Dr. Dolapo, okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Dolapo Fasawe. I'm the General Manager of Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. I am very delighted to be here today, and it gives me great pleasure that we're talking about circularity in an aspect that seems to have been ignored for long, is being ignored now, and it's about time we start paying attention. My remarks are that, you know, the agency, by the way, sorry, I work for Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, and our goal is to keep the environment clean, reduce GHG emissions, and we are hoping to achieve or be close to net zero by 2050. We are also committed to SDG goals 11, 12, 13, and 15. Also, we're starting to dabble into 17 sustainable partnerships for growth. Global environmental discourse in the past 10 years have been centered around establishing circular economy in all aspects of existence. But today I have been asked to, give a remark regarding what we're talking about. If we think all the way back, there was the Stone Age, there was the Bronze Age, there was Iron Age, Metal Age, and up till date, those things are still important in infrastructure, in technology, in transportation, in packaging, etc. According to research by World Steel in 2017, over 1.8 billion tons of iron ore globally are mined annually and at an alarming rate. It's funny that we think, by the way, ferrous ions are those ones that can be magnetized, e.g. aluminum, iron and all its derivatives, steel and coal, and non-ferrous are those ones that cannot be, copper, gold, silver, etc. Now, the world statisticians have seen that if we continue mining the way we are mining, by 2020, 34% of global crude oil demand is the only amount we are recycling. The remaining 66 is going into the air as massive GHG. The agency, LASEPA, that I work for, we actively advocate for a holistic approach. And this approach is why we're here today. Advocacy, advocacy, advocacy. And people do not understand the issue of waste to wealth. The perception of e-waste today is the end product. We are advocating that from manufacturing to the end product, every waste that is involved in your processes, including, say, I am smelting iron, there will be wastewater, there will be waste, even iron. All that is considered waste that has to be recycled in the process of our industrialization and manufacturing. The agency has a lab that supports the industry for all that are here in analyzing effluent discharge, and we think of metal waste separation, e-waste recycling, and resource control and efficiency in e-waste. We're already, as we speak, measuring air quality in about 6 zones in Lagos State. And in measuring air quality, it shows that we are committed to having baseline data, at least in knowing where the problem is. And it is interesting for Acen to know, on this particular discussion, we have an AQM in Ikorodu, and Ikorodu, we know, is the port Oniri for steel and iron, either manufacturing, smelting, distribution, or sales. And the kind of things we're getting in the air is showing us that we have to pay more attention to that part of society. We are also advocating that partnerships like this and with the private sector would help us deliver information in a way that is clear to manufacturer, distributor, end user, consumer, and everybody, that whatever waste is generated in your process has to be thought of as something that has to be recycled. It's funny, in the course of my research, I thought of jewelry, non-ferrous waste. It is amazing that very tiny amount of mining has to do with jewelry. So for women, we are not contributing to global warming. Also, women keep jewelry for keepsakes. We don't go and burn it or throw it in the ocean. And I'm happy to say, even India, being the world's largest gold deposits, has only 21% access to what is available. So that is good to know. It is my sincere hope that this event we're having today will contribute in deliberate manners, in concrete ways, to reducing the GHGs and the effect of pollution of e-waste in the society. And I know that as a policymaker, we can learn from discussions like this. We can be confronted and presented with science and verifiable evidence that policies have to be made. For example, the age of telephones that will be imported into Nigeria as second-hand goods. Nigeria is the second largest world recipient of second-hand e-waste. Africa, recipients of second-hand e-waste. we may start to make policies towards their age and towards the plan, towards keeping their mining and the system of keeping it going sustainable. It is my sincere hope that this event will contribute, and we hope that the metal industry across both ferrous and non-ferrous value chain over the next years will start to think that, okay, from our digging the earth, which is primary mining, to linear mining, not circular, because in the process of mining, we are creating a lot of other issues for the earth. And to the end user itself, it is our hope as Environmental Protection Agency that the information will be more out there. It is our hope that even the people in this sector of business start to realize that there's a value chain created in production and manufacturing and use regarding waste to wealth. Thank you very much for having me here. And I look forward to a fruitful discourse this afternoon. Thank you.
Well, that was brilliant. Thank you very much, Ma, for having us, for the concise remark. It is also important that achieving the SDGs, the Agenda 2030, the African Union Agenda 2063 cannot be overemphasized. For the women and juries, we perhaps look at that after this event. Thank you, Ma, for your time. All right, so we will now move on to one of the highlights of the day. That's for about 5 minutes, a presentation by a veteran in the aluminum industry. Trained in business and has also attended multiple training in business and leadership. He is a product of the Premier University, University of Ibadan, and MD CEO, Balita Aluminium Systems Limited. We will now yield the floor to Engineer Banjo Adeyoju for his presentation. About 5 minutes, sir. Thank you. Can we turn on his mic? Engineer Adeyoju.
Engineer Adeyoju, kindly unmute your mic. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, like I was saying, my name is Banjo Adeyoju. I'm an engineer by profession and by training. MD, CEO of Balita Group of Companies. Balita Group of Companies has 3 companies. Balita Limited, incorporated in 1990. Balita Aluminium Systems Limited, incorporated in 2007. And Balita Alloy Limited, incorporated in 2013. The Balita Group of Companies will be involved in aluminum business from the inception. Balita Limited used to be a contractor in aluminum roofing business. And by 2007, we started manufacturing of aluminum roofing sheets. And all along, we felt that the waste from aluminum roofing sheet should be converted, bring an income to us as a company. So the idea of going into recycling came up. And in 2013, we incorporated Balita Alloy Limited, which is a recycling company of aluminum scraps. The company as the product from our recycling is called ADC12. It's an aluminum alloy. Alloy is a combination of metal, but with aluminum alloy, aluminum takes about 85 to 86% of the composition. Another product from the scrap is the AK5M2. They are both used mostly in the automobile industries. We are situated in Adodo, Ota, local government area, with a land area of 2.5 hectares. To the layman, that's about 40 plots of land. What we do mostly is to buy aluminum scrap, anything with aluminum content, and then pass it through the furnace under the temperature of about 800 degrees Celsius. And what comes out of it, and then conditioned. Most of our orders, they come from outside the country. We have to meet up with the specification of the order, and that makes us to add some other metals to the scrap melted. Most of those metals, they are copper, silicon. Okay, most of the time, just to meet up with the specification of our buyer. And the good thing about aluminum is good to let the house know that the good thing about aluminum is that no matter the number of times you pass it through it, the property remains the same. And the advantage we have in recycling all this aluminum scrap is that the cost of production is far, far less. They're going to start from aluminum ore. Having to start from aluminum ore is capital intensive. But with all this aluminum scrap littered all around the country, it's a way of generating income at a very low cost of input. Most of the apart from the fact that we create job opportunities for our people of Nigerian, we also add value to the life of the people we employ. By recycling of the materials collected into high-value aluminum products, we also reduce greenhouse gas emission and energy demand associated with raw materials from primary production. Rather than constituting as waste generation, byproducts are utilized for other use. At this point, I need to let you know that at the time of gathering these aluminum scraps, they come along with all other metals. Most of the time, iron. If you consider an engine block of a vehicle, of a car, of any vehicle, you find that apart from the engine block, which is mostly aluminum cast, you find some other metals there. The crankshaft and some other part of the engine, which we have to segregate before recycling these aluminum scraps. Those ions that we remove from the engine block also serve as a raw material for those companies that are producing ferrous, iron rod. We, apart from the fact that in the course of segregation, we cannot remove every iron inside an engine block. Some are still bound to still remain inside. So by the time we pass them through it and they become in a fluid form, the iron content are also separated. And those iron separated at that point, we call them white iron. The one we remove at the point of segregation is called black iron. Both ions are good, are being purchased by those recycling plants that produces iron rod or metal as a whole. Like it has been said by the GM of Lasepa, there are two types of iron, and there are two types of metal, the ferrous and the non-ferrous. Aluminum happens to belongs to the group of non-ferrous. And how do we determine the composition of the aluminum ingot? There's an instrument called what do you call it again? Something meters. That instrument, spectrometer. It is called spectrometer. The function of spectrometer is to determine the percentage of iron present in any alloy. And it's a very simple process of sparking and then recording all the metal percentage, the iron and the metal percentage in any aluminum alloy. Apart from the fact that we're able to take away iron, black iron and the white iron, in the course of segregation, we also come in contact with zinc, which is also used by another companies too for their own production, which serves as raw material for another industry. And we also have magnesium, which also serves as also a raw material for another industry. And at the point of producing ingot, we also get out of it black dross. Dross, they are in form of powder that comes from the furnace. Those dross serve two purposes. Number one, we can recycle it to get another alloy of different composition. And the byproduct after recycling that is that we get another product which is used by the paint industry for aluminum paint. It's also used by industry producing ink. It's also used by industries producing matches. Concerning the human capacity development, I want to say this today that we are trying to do a kind of technology transfer. At the beginning of this business, we had in our employment 10 expatriates, but today we have upgraded the indigenous people to learn about the technology of this business. And today I can tell you we have 6 expatriates in our organization. Commercializing business model. Partnering business model with reduced operational costs in the metal value chain and adopting new revenue streams. Then industrial symbiosis develop long-term service-based relations with others in our supply/demand chain. Multi-stakeholders network. Align business with other stakeholders e.g. domestic and international regulatory agency, funding and investment cooperation. In form of partnership for sustainable development goals, all our value propositions identified with the SDGs. I want to thank you for the time you have taken to listen to a little bit of our presentation. God bless you.
Thank you. So very kindly, Engineer Adeyoju. We are grateful to have you make this presentation today. And I'm very sure that this will be another level of partnership and collaboration to deliver resource efficient metal industry. So we will now take a goodwill message from a policy and innovation enthusiast with strong commitment to promoting circular economy in Nigeria. This is no other person than the Vice Consul, Economic Affairs, Kingdom of Netherlands, Lagos, Acen-Ng.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear and see me?
Yes, we can, Abel.
Thanks. Okay, thanks a lot. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Acen-Ng. I'm the Vice Consul Economic Affairs at the Consulate General of the Netherlands in Lagos. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I'm pleased to speak on a subject that I'm quite passionate about, which is the circular economy. Unlike previous speakers, I'm not an expert with regards to circular economy in the metal sector. I was actually expecting to speak much earlier this webinar, so this contribution is a little bit more general than, for instance, this previous speaker, but I hope it will still be interesting to you. First of all, I would like to briefly provide the context the Consulate General of the Netherlands is working in here in Nigeria. In 2018, the President Muhammadu Buhari and our Prime Minister Mark Rutte signed an MOU to agree to a strengthened bilateral relationship between Nigeria and the Netherlands, with one of the focus areas being economic collaboration. So the economic team of the Consulate General in Lagos aims to implement this agreement by strengthening economic collaboration between the Netherlands and Nigeria via both private sector development initiatives and the promotion of business collaboration. The Netherlands is looking for opportunities for mutual beneficial business collaboration, while simultaneously also contributing to green and inclusive economic growth and the SDGs. Next to agriculture, water, renewable energy, and healthcare, circular economy has been identified as one of the focus themes for us in Nigeria. And there are three main reasons for focusing on circular economy. First of all, there is a large waste challenge in Nigeria. It has been previously mentioned, also on e-waste. With an ever-growing population of more than 200 million people, and nevertheless, this abundance of waste also offers many untapped business opportunities, since waste is a valuable resource. The circular economy is also a crucial element in achieving the climate goals. 50% of the climate goals can potentially be achieved by realizing the circular economy. And thirdly, the Netherlands is also a global forerunner in the field of waste management and circular economy. In the Netherlands, over 70% of the waste is being recycled, and only 1% of the waste is going to landfills. And besides waste, there is also many innovative Dutch businesses providing circular solutions in the broader sense. In addition, it is important to note that the Netherlands also has an ambitious national circular economy agenda, aiming to become fully circular in 2050. However, the Netherlands can't achieve this alone. Obviously, value chains and the environment do not stop at our Dutch borders, so cooperation with other countries is therefore vital. The circular economy is also gaining increasingly more attention in Nigeria and encompasses a broad spectrum of sectors, waste streams, and also applications. And because of limited capacity with the Consulate General, we have decided to mainly focusing focus on plastics, e-waste, and organic waste. And I will also mention a few examples to this stays quite fake. I understand that to give you a little bit of the sense what we are doing and what kind of activities we are supporting. So for example, we are supporting the setup of a circular business platform in collaboration with the African Circular Economy Alliance and Holland Circular Hotspot. And this platform aims to connect the private sector, knowledge institutes, and governments to exchange knowledge and facilitate collaboration, and hopefully also working towards a shared policy agenda. We are exploring and facilitating a Dutch-Nigerian business collaboration in the plastic sector, plastics recycling value chain, I should say. And with regards to e-waste, which is linked to the metal sector, we are exploring how we could support the activities of Closing the Loop, which is a Dutch company offering e-waste recycling solutions to promote, and we do this to promote better e-waste collection and recycling in Nigeria, specifically Lagos. I'm very happy to see that this webinar is focusing on circular economy in the metal sector, which is unfortunately associated with serious environmental impacts. And I'm therefore also looking forward to learn more about circularity in the ferrous and non-ferrous metal value chain today. Many thanks for Africa Circular Economy Network for organizing this webinar. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the session this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Abel, for that very wonderful presentation. We sincerely appreciate and thank you for making this time out to join us here today. We would also like to say thank you to all our guests and all our participants. We're also mindful of your time and we are grateful for the same. We will now take another special remark from somebody that I see as tech and telecom infrastructure management, security and artificial intelligence expert, an international business and real estate consultant, the man that has revolutionized Loma to an enviable status. That is the Managing Director, Lagos Waste Management Authority, Mr. Ibrahim Odumboni. We have Mr. Ibrahim. Odumboni, if Simi, could you check if we can unmute him or we proceed? Okay, so while we wait for Mr. Ibrahim, I'd just like us to do something I call a raindrop. So we will all type where we are listening in from. That's your city, not Lagos State. So if it is in Lagos, Victoria Island, so please type then in the chat box. Then you wait on me to tell you to please send. So let me know. You can use the thumbs up once you are done typing. Then we can run this raindrop. It rained early in the morning where I was in Victoria Island this morning, and I'd like to see that such raindrop here. So type your city at the moment in the chat box. We all done. Let me see. You could use the thumbs up if you are done typing. So let's create. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So now you can drop your city. All right. Okay. So interesting. From Yaoundé, Cameroon. Whoa, merci beaucoup. Wow, interesting. Chicago, Lancaster, Kano, Abuja, Surulere, Port Harcourt, South Africa, Lagos, Finland. Interesting. So keep it coming. Agege, Lagos, Ilorin, Australia, Ikoyi. Awesome. So Simi, please, could you check? Yeah. Akowonjo, Lagos, Torino, Trinidad and Tobago. Awesome. I mean, we sincerely appreciate you for making this time out to attend this event. And this is the beauty of collaborating, going into partnership and bringing people together. Oh, Abeokuta. Wow, that's if you've been to Olumo City, you would have known where that is. So while we wait for the MD Loma to join us, I will now yield the floor to Kemi Ajokaye, that's the doyen of circular economy in Nigeria, who will take us through the breakout session. Kemi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Wega, and a very good job so far. Thank you to all our attendees again, and the special guests and speakers and experts on this webinar today. So quickly, what we're going to do next is have our breakout session. And we want this discussion to go all around. I mean, let's have an active discussion for participants to share ideas, perspectives, and then interact with the speakers, so that interaction and that networking begins before we now go into panel discussion. So what we'll be doing is that we'll have 3 questions. Simi, thank you very much for sharing. We have 3 questions to help to get us, discussing, to get us talking. So this breakout session is just going to last for 10 minutes. Within that 10 minutes, we have a moderator that would, we have a moderator for each room. And so we have four rooms. The questions: what does circular economy, what does circular economy imply for the metal industry in Nigeria? How would it enhance efficiency, supply and demand flow? How can we improve recovery of materials, enhance product design, and eradicate negative impacts, environmental impacts? And then, of course, the last one: how can it transition into circular economy, create new markets, investment opportunities, technical capacity and development, and a thriving metal industry? Mr. Banjo Adeyoju did give a very fantastic and interesting presentation. He's spoken about his business, what it means to them, the value they create, and challenges, of course, that they encounter. And so it'd be nice for us to have, this discussion. We've heard from our regulators. And so without further ado, thanks to technology, we are going to find ourselves in different rooms right about now. And then after 10 minutes, we'll come back together and we'll have Dr. Michael, Yikosola, and Simi discuss, give a cap regarding what was discussed in each of those rooms. So thank you very much. And right about now, we'll find ourselves in various rooms. So I'll see you back in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have all been assigned to different rooms. Kindly accept to join the breakout rooms. So Professor Elijah, Mr. Abu Enuha, Biaji Ada, Mariela, Tulikima, kindly accept the breakout room you have been assigned and join. Thank you. Please, you can join in. Please join into the rooms you have been assigned. Mr. Dennis, Abu Enuha, Professor Elijah, Olani Ayeye, Amos Odetayo, Kehinde, everybody.
Yeah, sorry. If I'm going to, yes, just chip in a bit. Good afternoon. Yes, it's been line with the thoughts that have been given. And I think it is important also as we look at advocacy and behavioral change that also the stakeholders work with government to map out the possibility that we can ramp up for recycling.
Thank you very much for that interactive breakout session. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone is back. Yes, everyone is back to the same room. So at this point, I will allow two of the moderators to share with us points of discussion in their rooms, and that will allow them 2 minutes each, just to, for them to intimate us of discussions that took place, what the perspective that attendees had regarding the theme of this webinar. So I'll call on Dr. Michael Otitoju first. Dr. Michael.
Okay, thank you. So we had the chance just to discuss 2 questions. So on the first question, what does circular economy imply for the metal industry? So we had two key points, and the first is that there's a need for an efficient collection system, from the environment rather. So we need to create an efficient system where these metals, could be easily retrieved from wherever they are located in the environment. And there's also the need for awareness. There are so many homes that have devices that are no longer useful to them, and they need to know that there's still value in these devices or appliance. So there's need for awareness. Then on the second question, that how can we improve the recovery of materials and enhance product design? Like it was shown in the video, that those in the metal recycling sector are dominated by the informal sector. So there's a need for government to recognize and place value on this population, because they are being regarded as not so relevant in quotes. So there's a need for government to create to recognize them informally, and to create laws that would protect them and ensure that they are a useful sector in the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. And then I'll call Simi Oyelami.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We had quite a lot of contributions in my group. However, we did not have enough time to go through all the questions. So for the first question, What does circular economy imply for the metal industry in Nigeria? It was stated that it would help eliminate waste in the metal industry, and it will help close the loop in terms of production. To answer the second question, which states, how would this enhance efficiency, supply, and demand flow? We had people say that what is recovered locally can fill the gap compared to what is imported. Mr. Engineer Banjo mentioned this earlier when he was saying that the scrap recovered is actually, it costs less to recycle from the scraps that are picked around compared to making it from the scratch. So this is just to buttress the points that was earlier stated. Someone also said that the sector is largely informal, and it would help to make it will be more efficient to have the sector more formal, and also it will bring about proper gathering of information and regulation as well in the sector. Someone also advised that there should be good incentives for those who are currently working in the sector to encourage them and to empower them to understand their apologies, to understand their place in the value chain and to help them to do better in their work. That's all I have from my group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simi. Time is fast spent as regards this the breakout session, but I'll just chip in and say, I mean, all in all, the discussion from the notes I gathered is that we need to develop mechanisms for a closed loop value chain of the ferrous and non-ferrous metal industry. So with this, I'll say thank you again for the very interactive and engaging breakout session. I'll hand over to Boyega Olorunfemi to continue with the program.
All right, thank you so much, Kemi, for facilitating a very brilliant session. We will now move on to the next session on the agenda, which is the panel discussion. And I'll just quickly introduce the panelists briefly. I know we have, lots written about them. This is a very huge profile that will take time to also be able to deliver right here. On this panel, we have Dr. Dolapo Fasa with the GM LASEPA, who is going to be ably represented by Dr. Adebola Odunsi. Dr. Adebola Odunsi is the technical assistant to the GM LASEPA. We also equally have Dr. Elijah Ohimai. He's a researcher, environmental microbiologist. He's a professor of bioenergy and environmental microbiology, and formerly the Dean, Faculty of Science, Niger Delta University, Wilberforce Island. He's a prolific writer and author, and has authored and co-authored over 200 publications. We also have engineer Banjo Adeoju on this panel, the CEO, Balita Aluminium Limited, with that brilliant presentation. Also on the panel is Mr. Tese Ugo. He's Executive Secretary, Alliance for Responsible Battery Recycling. He's an expert entrepreneur in recycling and circular economy business model. He's a policy consultant with over 15 years practical experience and holds a Master's of Public Policy degree with interest in sustainable development and circular economy. To moderate this very eminent panel is no other person than Dr. Folashade Nubi. Engineer Folashade Nubi is a senior environmental engineer, University of Lagos, Greatest Akokite. She has consulted widely on waste circularity and set of environmental management system, EMS, and waste management system, WMS. She is an astute promoter of circular economy. She's highly published in both local and international journals. Dr. Shade Nubi, may I at this point yield the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Boyega. You've done a great work all day. All right, so we have just about 30 minutes for this section, and I'm trying as much as possible for us to be able to achieve so much within this short period. Of course, we've had very informative and engaging interaction. Even from the breakout section, we've had so much information sharing and of course gathering. I've learned so much to myself. Nigeria is one of the countries that is actually very blessed with natural resources. And iron ore is also part of one of the natural resources we have. But even with all of the blessings that we have, presently we have a lot of shortage when it comes to this for the steel industry. And from what we've heard from Engineer Adebanjo today, we see that it's very, very essential for us to be able to bridge that gap of that shortage. And that presently what we have been able to get is have the scrap metal actually help us fit, that gap and shortage that we have, the recycling of this scrap metal. So with that, I would actually begin my question with Dr. Odusin, who is the government representative and someone from LASEPA. From my breakout group, we actually everybody had different definition of what circular economy is. Could you please tell us what the current understanding of circular economy and for the metal value chain, and also is LASEPA actually having any initiative presently for the metal value chain? That's two. And also, I also want to know if there's any engagement with stakeholders within this metal value chain. Dr. Odunsi, please. Is he here? Hello, Dr. Odunsi, are you here?
Timmy, could you kindly check for Dr. Odunsi?
Okay, so while we're checking for Dr. Odunsi, I think I would also go to Engineer Banjo. Sir, you had a very fantastic presentation, and I would say thank you for the great work you're doing in terms of recycling and helping us, manage waste that normally will have gotten to the dump site. But could you please give us the structure of the operations of metal recycling value chain in Nigeria? You gave us what you do, but we want to have a more holistic approach and understanding to the recycling process, metal recycling process presently in Nigeria. So you're taking us from not just from your company, but also how you collect the informal sector and also to the recycling processes. Can you give us that insight, please?
Thank you very much. The value chain starts from the truck pusher outside. Many times you see some people pushing some trucks looking for waste products, metal especially. They happen to be the starting point. And some people call them kaya. And those ones, they are to sell to someone that is, we call a bigger dealer. They all gather them together to supply to a bigger dealer. That bigger dealer is someone that has a shop or a store where he buys from many other truck pushers, ready to put them in a truck to be supplied to the recycling company.
Okay. Sir, could you please give us an overview of the supply-demand ratio? So you're receiving this so much from the, I don't want to call them the kaya, I want to give them a better name. I'm calling them the informal sector. Can you give us an overview of the demand and supply? Are you being able to get as much as you require? Or can you just help us understand, the demand and supply of what you get from these people?
Presently in Nigeria, there is high demand for aluminum scrap because every time new company is emerging, and for the available quantity of scrap, you have so many companies competing for it. Presently, there is higher demand. There is more demand for scrap than the supply, and you know that the economic principle, when the demand is much and the supply is low, there is bound to be price increase. That's exactly what you are expressing in that sector now.
Okay, so I would say that we would definitely not have metals at the dump site because from what you've said, it's of a higher demand. So are we saying that we're already actually closing that loop when it comes to recycling of metals?
I will not say that because no, this is a free, clean economy whereby so many other investors can still come. So, but the fact that actually it amazes me the quantity of scrap we generate in this country. But one other thing I found out that it's not only from this country, from the neighboring countries, we have scraps entering into Nigeria. And Kano happen to be the center, the hub of this scrap collection.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So do you think that it will begin to transit, Nigeria, Africa begin to transit to a circular economy, it would actually help the demand and also you supplying to the next manufacturer that needs the recycled materials?
Please, can you come again?
Okay, what I said is, if we're transiting to circular economy, then we're ensuring that we're closing this loop. Are we going to have better, so let me make it easier. The demand, we also have you supplying these raw materials to another company, the ingot, for example, to another company. If we now have a closed loop, are we going to have it better? Transiting to circular economy, will it facilitate, more demand and supply of materials?
Definitely yes. Because if company B knows that his raw material is readily available from the byproduct of company A, it gives room for such quietly to do it in such industry.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. All right, I would like to ask my next question to Dr. Elijah. He's an environmentalist, and then I think I would want to ask him, sir, the present recycling processes, what are your environmental concerns about our present practice right now? I'm sure you are aware of all of the scavenging and all of the burning and what we do presently to ensure the recycling processes. What are your environmental concerns, or what would you say about the process we have presently now?
Environmental concerns are on both ways, both positive and negative. Okay, as per the positive side of the environmental concern is that these waste, the pickers of waste actually help to remove metals from the environment. Over time, these metals will have leached into the environment, into the soil, into the groundwater, and contaminate our groundwater, the water sources. So by picking these metals before this happens, before they corrode, before they rust into the environment, it's a positive aspect of the environment because they are recovering useful materials from the environment. But on the other hand, in our attempt to process the scavenged materials, for example, sometimes in order to recover the wire in a tire, they set the tire ablaze. It leads to emissions of smokes and dust into the environment. So thus is polluting the environment. Also, those who are involved in waste collection are exposed, they don't use any form of PPE, they are exposed to infectious diseases. But on the other hand, the collection of metal material from the environment, it helps to prevent stagnation of water into containers that will be breeding sites for mosquitoes. So it's both environmentally positive and negative. So for us going forward is how do we now enhance the positive side and try to balance the negative side? That is the right way to really go. So environmentally is both plus and the minus. Thanks.
Yes, sir, but I won't let you go just yet. You've given us, of course, all of your environmental concerns, which is also my own major concern too. Because when you get to majority of those dump sites, especially for e-waste, you find a lot of these informal people actually burning because they want to extract one metal or the other. I think we also need your expertise in what do we do? How do we eradicate these environmental challenges? We already have identified, we need to know how to eradicate it. Because if we have to transit to circular economy, we have to put all of that in perspective.
Okay, the small sector are basically the informal sector are the ones that are basically involved in collection and processing of this recovered material before they get to the formal sector. So therefore, the informal sector need to be well educated, need to be given the right orientation or having the right tools to really work with in order to have an environmental protection as a layer. For example, when they burn things in open environment, it leads to emissions. But if those incineration was done in a closed environment with some control measures put in place to recover emissions that are supposed to have gone out, then you put some filters, some blankets to recover some of the emissions and smoke. That is the right way to go. But if it costs them an additional amount of money to put that kind of a system in place, this is clearly lacking. And that is why we have that kind of environmental impact. But also remember that the people are also involved in recovering this material from the environment. So it has environmental positive and environmental negative. So I said the right way to go is to encourage the positive side while we try to equip this informal sector. Many of them are not educated, but I can bet you that if they see an aluminium waste, they recognize it. If they see an steel waste, they recognize it. If they see copper, they know it perfectly well. So if they are educated and given the right incentive and environment, maybe they will be able to perform in a better environmentally friendly manner.
Thank you very much, sir. I would say yes. Majority of the informal sector, I would like to call them experts when it comes to sorting and segregation of these materials. They really know. And then you see, when you see their vehicles, and then when they are moving to Kano, majority of the time is because they know where to get this material, they know how to extract it. So thank you for what you have said. I'm aware that Dr. Dunsi is back online because he is the government representative, LASEPA. Sir, I would like to ask you, sir, what's the current, so for now, it's more like we're discussing managing waste, but I really want to go back to circular economy. And I would like you to please explain to us what's the current understanding of circular economy when it comes to the metal sector. And while you're on that, sir, I would also really like to also ask that, are there any initiatives you are actually rolling out presently for that sector? Of course, we know that you're doing a lot of things. Dr. Dalak already mentioned to us air quality, you've got labs. But now for this metal sector, is there anything we're looking forward to that you're presently rolling out? And also give us an overview of what CE really means to the government when it comes to this sector.
Okay, thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone, Madam panelists and the other guests we have on this panel discussion. I will dive straight into it. As to what LASEPA is currently doing in and around normalizing and also regulating the what I would call largely informal metal sector in Lagos State. The agency is on the route. Okay, I'll talk from the ferrous and non-ferrous side. So let's look at ferrous metals, most of which come in as metal scrap and the like. First and foremost, we are ensuring that adequate stakeholder engagement is taking place. And this is not, this is to feed a bottom-up solution approach. We don't want as government to sit down in the office dream up solutions or dream up policy and expect that people would adhere to them. It's best when there's a sense of ownership and a sense of self-regulation, which is what the agency is striving for in and around environmental sustainability. There's limited resources to do a lot of things, so it's better if people are self-aware, if people self-advocate, if people change and modify their behaviors to achieve environmental sustainability. And of course, that cut into the metals sector as well, which Lagos State plays a huge part in, especially in terms of both ferrous and non-ferrous coming in through as e-waste. Of course, we all know that Lagos is a port city, and of course, we are still, as a state agency, subject to, or we are beholden to the federal laws. And of course, we are in this light trying to partner and continuing discussion and activities in and around starting the mining of e-waste and other metal-like wastes right from the ports before it gets into the state, so that our accurate documentation, tracking, and of course, eventually looking at the economic gains that can be had from things like that can actually be computed and data made available for policy formation and also solutions. The agency is also partnering or is a steering committee member on the nascent e-waste policy, which is a national document being supported by JICA and in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Environment, NESRA, and EPRON. This, we believe, will be starting point. Of course, when these things get distilled into law, you then have regulations. Regulations are more like person-to-person translations. And the government is also keen to engage potential off-takers, and producer responsibility organizations, to create a more wholesome e-waste plan vis-a-vis developing the hitherto nascent e-waste reclamation sector. We do have some big name players in there, but largely a lot of the undocumented electronic waste currently ends up in the hands of scavengers, and the government is not one that we see them as a potential positive, and we are striving to engage them to ensure that relevant training can be put in place and certain incentives can be given, economic incentives. Of course, one would be buying a little at a premium from them, to ensure that they are doing the right thing, they keep their registrations, and they are under the regulation of the law as well. As to your second question, as to any current initiatives ASEPA is currently engaged in for the informal sector, I think I've already started. One is through the policy, we're looking, through the national policy, we're looking to engage the informal sector. Though it's still in a bit of a nascent phase, but definitely it's in the plans to engage the informal sector, basically to raise the level of awareness, their level of knowledge, and also to be able to normalize their activities to ensure that they have minimal environmental and health impact as well, because you see a lot of people, we're thinking environment, we also have to look at the health impact, which in turn affects the environment through sheer sustainability. So it's brilliant to have this opportunity to shed more light on what the agency is about and what we're trying to achieve in and around circular economy as it concerns metals.
Okay, so Dr. Dusi, before you go
Yes.
away, From what you've said, I think it's also very important to also see the source of all of this scrap metals that we have. We know that Nigeria is like the second largest importer of second-hand vehicles. And, majority of the time, by the time they come to Nigeria, it's already at the end of life. Well, I'm just a bit curious when it comes to this kind of thing. Is there any regulations, or is LASEPA looking at anything when it comes to that sector, when it comes to metals or materials coming in and then they're already at the end of life already?
Thank you very much. Very true. I think there's a statistic that 1 in 132 cars bought in Nigeria is new. So 131 out of 132 vehicles that you see on the road are second-hand vehicles. And it now depends on at the point at which you are talking, which is most likely not even second-hand. You're looking at probably people that buy things for parts and things like that. The truth be told, SEPA's jurisdiction falls beyond direct imports. And that is why we're striving in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Environment, NESRA, and of course, Customs and Immigrations to set, and Standard Organization of Nigeria, to set limits and standards, for all these things. I mean, we can't object to people buying vehicles for spare parts, which is possibly that's one of the biggest reasons why these unserviceable vehicles come in. But there has to be an environmental management plan that guides what happens at the end of the day, which is currently not in place. And it is the joint responsibility of both the parties importing and the regulatory bodies to put such an environmental plan in place.
So just to ask, are we going to have policy? Of course, we know circular economy is multifaceted, and we're expecting that we'll have policies, regulations, and all. Just like we have for the plastic waste, we have a new policy. Are we going to be having a new policy for metal waste?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, it may not specify metals. We would look at it more under the e-waste category, which serves to capture your batteries, your technology, electronic equipment, electricals, and also scrap metals. So looking at everything from road vehicles, land, air, sea vehicles, the whole works. So definitely the new policy document will account for those things, and being a national policy document, it will then be distilled into state law. But of course, LASEPA is already working on a number of pilots. One is to optimize collection, and this is being done in conjunction with NESRA and EPROM. So we are hopeful that by beginning next year, we should have about 10 collection centers as pilots across the state, and of course, learn from the experience and then hopefully expand. And the whole idea is to assist in the aggregation or the proper aggregation and storage of a lot of these scrap metal and e-waste, because I mean, we are all well aware of the potential environmental and health effects that improper handling can have. And then you can then go into a system where even the current cart pushers and the like can be trained, empowered, and also supply these collection centers who can aggregate to the or provide to the recyclers who I'm sure would like some sort of optimized stock to ensure that, I mean, the business itself stays profitable. So things like that we're hoping to launch in the coming near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dunse. So Engineer Banjo, so LASEPA is saying they're going to help you with collection. So we really do not have to worry so much. There's going to be a lot of collaborations after this kind of meetings, because he's hearing your issues. And then, of course, they're saying they're going to provide some solutions. I would like to go to Mr. Tessa Yes. You are the Executive Secretary for Alliance for Responsible Battery Recycling. And, you know, we've spoken about circular economy and then seeing opportunities. I would like to ask, what are your concerns? What are the obstacles you envisage that would happen in the transition to a circular economy for this sector? So you're talking in terms of for the metal industry and also for battery recycling. So what are the challenges you're envisaging or obstacles you're envisaging would have?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to share a little bit of our experience and the work that we're currently doing concerning battery recycling in the country, and also the work I'm currently also working on the automotive recycling in Nigeria. Regarding battery recycling, our organization is a PRO certified by NESRA and the Ministry of Environment to manage the used battery sector and value chain in the country, from the collection to transportation, all the way to recycling into lead ingots and then exports out of the country for manufacturing of new batteries that have been re-imported back into the country. As an alliance, we are set up to help upgrade the value chain in terms of training the collection systems. What we currently have in the country is that we have informal collectors who collect used batteries, break them open at the point of collection, spill the acids from these batteries into the sewage and into the environment, causing a lot of pollution before these batteries are transported to recyclers. Now, the transporting process is also a problem because most of these batteries get transported in trucks that also transport food items and other consumer goods. And when they're not transported properly, in these trucks, they end up polluting the trucks with lead, lead dust, and acid. And then eventually the same truck gets to transport food and other consumer items, thereby spreading lead pollution across the country. So what we do as an organization is to help train the battery transportation group, train the battery collectors also. We register and we train them on how to best collect used batteries, how to stack them upright, how to make sure that the acids from these batteries are not spilled into the environment, and these batteries are delivered to responsible battery recyclers. So we recently went on a tour of several of the battery recycling companies in the country. Now, this is important for this subject because lead is also a metal. Lead is a non-ferrous metal, very highly valuable metal. Most of the lead produced in the world today is used in the manufacture of batteries. Batteries have become a major component of our daily existence as human beings now. Nigeria has recently adopted the renewable energy as part of its energy mix. And so with energy, you know, renewable energy being adopted, we have a lot of batteries being imported into the country for energy storage systems. And because these energy storage systems require batteries that have a limited lifespan, we have a huge amount of used batteries generated in the country. So there's a very important need to process these used batteries properly so that the process from collection to transportation up to the smelting of this lead is done in an environmentally responsible way that doesn't end up polluting and harming our citizens, as is currently the case in many parts of Lagos, many parts of Ogun states, and basically across the country, but mostly in Lagos and Ogun State, because that is where most of the lead smelters are currently operating. We're happy that there's a lot of lead smelting going on in the country now. This happened out of some circumstance that created that scenario. So we have a lot of lead smelters now, which means that there's going to be an influx of battery manufacturing in the country, which is a good step regarding our circular economy here. So we don't need to export used batteries and import new batteries when we can recycle these used batteries locally and manufacture batteries locally for the automotive sector and for the renewable energy sector especially. And now, so I'll move quickly also to the automotive sector. My company, Reading, is also involved in developing a policy framework currently as we speak with the National Automotive Development and Design Council, NADDC, in Abuja. A regulation has been designed. It's currently going through the framework. Very soon a stakeholder engagement will be called so that experts across the country can sit together and iron out aspects of the automotive recycling policy. The automotive recycling policy focuses on efficient collection, dismantling, and processing of ferrous and non-ferrous metals from the automotive sector. We believe that the automotive sector contributes one of the highest amounts of scrap metals to the scrap metal industry. But right now, the entire process is conducted informally. So we're working with the Automotive Council currently to develop a pilot automotive recycling plant that collects metals and collects scrap vehicles from across the country, from police stations, from the VIO, from the road safety, and other environmental agencies who are responsible and involved in the automotive sector to collect and deliver end-of-life vehicles to a formalized and standard automotive recycling facility, where these vehicles can be dismantled for spare parts, and the second-hand spare parts can be tested for quality before they are sent, they're sent to the spare parts markets. While the remaining parts of the automotive scrap, the metal bulk, is shredded into smaller pieces, and through a magnetic separation system, these metals are separated into ferrous and non-ferrous properties, materials, and then sent to smelters, to recycling facilities like Mr. Banjo, and a couple of others across the country who are involved in the proper, in the smelting, the formal smelting of these metals. And so we hope that with the automotive recycling policy in place, hopefully in a few months before the end of this year, there'll be more of these facilities popping up across the country to properly and efficiently collect, dismantle, and recycle end-of-life vehicles in the country, so that we can formalize that sector properly and take advantage of the huge deposits or huge amounts of end-of-life vehicles lying across Nigeria, lying in our backyards, lying in our homes, on our streets and all over the place. And I think the Lagos State government has a major role to play here because of the huge amount of scrap vehicles, downfall buses, and the rest of them that I'm sure the government wants to eliminate from the streets and from the roads. So when this policy comes in place to help take care of a lot of these problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm so glad. That's why we have this platform. So Lagos State is here, you're here, and there's synergy, there's information sharing, and of course, but what I have to really go now. But before I go, Professor Elijah, this is very passionate for me because I'm also in the research institute. I have to ask this question before I leave. It has to do with data, research, and information. Yes, sir. As a professor in this line and environment, I really would like to ask you, sir, are there research going on presently at your institution? Do we have data that we can share to help the government, to help the association, private sector, the businesses? Are we, because, Lagos, we always have pulses of data. Do we have that research going on? Is there anything that we need to share in terms of data and research? So, Professor Elijah, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I am here. There are a lot of research that we do in my university in terms of waste recycling. Now, let me mention to you that, like I earlier said before, it is the informal sector that is doing this recycling before it gets to the formal sector. In one of the researches we did, we interviewed the informal sector. We got prices, what they buy and what they sell, different metals, ranging from copper to aluminum to iron, different time lead, and then how they sell it to the middleman. The middleman that is like a stockist, accumulate this metal until they can fill a 911 container, this long trailer of 40 feet, and then how we followed them through up to Data Steel Company. We sent a research team to Data Steel companies where they received them and did a processing of them using their furnace and convert them to ingots or billets, an alternative to billets, and from there on they sell them to the rolling mills which they use in making iron bars. So in this process, I have some papers that are published, which I can also share. Okay. But the issue is that the government need to collect this kind of information because they are more in the informal sector, so they are not documented, they are not recognized, they are not appreciated. So that's why it's going on like an underground economy. Okay, so, but if it is recognized and data are collected, and based on the data, the government can act on what to really do, enhance the beneficial aspect, whether we like it or not. But for the informal sector, waste before recycling started in Nigeria in this high level, waste in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and all that were enormous. But with what is going on now, this informal sector is removing the waste from the street, from the backyard, and it's a positive move that we must encourage.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. On this note, I would like to say it's been really very impactful. Thank you so much for all of sharing from great minds. I would also keep saying that as an advocate for circular economy, let's continue to reuse, remanufacture, refurbish, and then not, ensure that we are closing the loop. On this note, I will say thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. I am Shade Nubi. Thank you very much. Over to Goyega. Thank you very much.
Wow, amazing and brilliant. Thank you so much for displaying such excellence during the panel session. I'd like to also at this moment say thank you to Dr. Dolapo Fasawe, the GM LASEPA, ably represented by Dr. Adebola Adunsi, technical assistant. Thank you. Thank you to Professor Elijah Ohimai. We appreciate. Thank you to Engineer Banjo Adeyoju. We also appreciate Mr. Tese Ugo. Thank you so much. So right about now, we actually request that some of us that we drop our questions in the chat. Suddenly you permit the background noise from my end. I apologize. I couldn't move away for now. So to moderate the Q&A session is an award-winning social entrepreneur, a dedicated member of Acen Nigeria chapter. Through Chanja Dati, she has been able to divert over 50 tons of recyclable waste from landfills to off-takers and manufacturers. This person has gotten her BSc degree in accounting and finance from Northeastern University in Boston, where she graduated with cum laude with honors, master's degree in financial management from the Pace University Leuven School of Business in New York. She belongs to many local and international organizations driving sustainable change and promoting circular economy, no other than Funto Ferrous. She will be leading us in the question and answer and then to discuss key takeaway. Thank you. Funto, over to you.
Thank you so much, Goyega. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Engineer Shadenubi, for such a great session and moderating well. For all the participants, Mr. Ugo, Professor Elijah, and the like, thank you so much. Please drop your questions. I'm looking at the chat box right now, waiting eagerly for questions. But before, just to kick things off, because I know we're running a bit past our time limit, there was a question that was raised during our breakout session by, I think it was Roberto. I don't know if he's still on. And one of the questions or concerns he had raised was, how are we going to separate metals, especially around designs? What is the general technology for separation of metals? How are we going to do this? Because, I think his main concern was, it's good enough to talk about all the things we're talking about, but the how is the question now. So again, that's one of the questions that has come up. And I'm again going to throw it out to the audience to see if the experts amongst us can help answer the question. Goyega, please, to keep me honest, how many minutes do I have? So I want to be sure that I manage efficiently. So tell me, and then I can make sure that I arrange that properly. How many minutes do we have for Q&A? Oh, I can't hear Goyega.
So I have just 5 minutes, please.
Oh, 5 minutes. Thanks, Kikemi. Oh, okay. So does anybody want to help me chime into the question I just raised? It was posed by Roberto during our breakout session. Again, we've talked about what is going on, the issues. The question now is the how. How are we going to get this done? In terms of technology, separation of the metals, any takers? And please also use the chat box to drop your questions, or I believe we also have Q&A as well. So please, I'm looking.
Can I come in?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Adeyeju. Yes.
Actually, from experience,
okay,
from practice, there are some that are trained to be able to identify metals, especially in our operation. Basically, to separate the non-ferrous from the ferrous is very easy. With the use of magnets, you can easily separate them. One that is ferrous and one that is non-ferrous. But within the non-ferrous, because there are many, we have copper, we have lead, we have aluminum, we have magnesium, so many of them. It now requires experience. Some, I mean, today we spend a lot of money on segregators, people who can identify each of these metals and can separate them from the one that we really have to recycle. So I believe that technologically it can be done, but the only technologically way that can be done is that with the use of magnets, you can easily separate. But when it comes to the non-ferrous, to be able to identify each one, how does copper look? Copper look reddish. From any, I know it's more of white, and some other nickel, lead, and the rest, and magnesium. So it the only way, and I believe that we in my party today, there are some that have been in the industry for so long, and they have been in that job for quite a while, and that has given them, and we pay them a lot for it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Adeyeju. Thank you so much for that very insightful response. I'm going to just, because of time, I apologize to everybody. We're just going to take one more question. And this is, I don't know if the representative from Lagos State is still around. Mr. Olukayode Oyeleye has asked, rather than harassing the scavengers in Lagos, how should the local government field officials engage with them to avoid discouraging them from continuing to gather the various waste, metal and non-metal, from primary sources at the household levels? I don't know if the representative from Lagos State can maybe help to answer that question. Oh, I'm told he has left already. Okay, so
no, sorry, apologies, sorry to interject. Dr. Ondusi is still on the call.
Oh, he's still on the call. Okay, sorry about
yes.
that. Okay, so Dr. Ondusi, sorry to put you on the hot seat. But if you can help answer that question from Mr. Olukayode Oyeleye, we would appreciate that.
Okay, good afternoon. I was saying you needed to unmute me. Thank you very much. Advocacy capacity building cuts across all stakeholders. So definitely, I echo the sentiment of there's no need to harass these people. They are they are providing a service. And I have said that the overall commitment from the government is to actually engage, train, register, and normalize the activities so that they can be adequately regulated as well. Because as there are the good sides to their activities, the negative sides as well, such as fly tipping and so many other issues in and around improper handling of these ferrous and non-ferrous metals. So of course, we need to find a middle ground. And that's why comprehensive stakeholder engagement is key. We're not just taking the stories from one side of the coin. We need all sides of the coin to make sure that whatever policy we end up with is wholesome and also inclusive. That's the only way to be assured of self-regulation more than anything. The man that knows that, I mean, he's making 100 naira or 200 naira, he knows that, okay, if he adopts this the right way, he can make more and he can sell more, he'll be more efficient. He won't necessarily have to be using human-powered vehicles. So many benefits can be derived from actually engaging them. And I mean, whilst the norm might be seen as harassing them, there's the other side to it as well, and the need for enforcement, because we can't, as a government, I mean, we defend all citizens. In your own daily activities, you are not allowed to infringe on the environmental rights of your neighbor. So we have to cut both ways. But of course, the end point is to get to a middle ground where everybody is heard from and attended to.
Thank you so much, Dr. Odunsi, for that very succinct response. Again, we do have some other questions, but because of the interest of time, I think what we'll do is we'll take those questions and also note, Simi, please, if you can help with this, and also note the person who asked the question, and then maybe afterwards we can sort of provide some responses after the fact. On behalf of, Acen Nigeria chapter, I also will be giving the just the closing remarks, and to just say a very, 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 on behalf of Mr. Abayomi Amagbabiola, who was supposed to do it. I just want to say a very, very huge thank you to all our participants, starting from Mr. Chris White, the co-founder of Acen, Dr. Mrs. Dolapo Fasha with the GM LASEPA, Engineer Banjo Adeyoju, MD of Balita, sorry, Mr. Ibrahim Odubomi, MD, CEO Loma, a Belniering Vice Counsel of Economic Affairs for the Kingdom of Netherlands and Lagos, all our moderator, Engineer Mrs. Shade Nubi, our panelists, Dr. Fashawe, Dr. Odusi, Dr. Elijah Ohime, Mr. Banjo Adeyoju, Mr. Teze Ubo, and all the Acen Nigeria chapter members, Kemi Ajakaye, Boyega Olorunfemi, Simi, everybody that has a hand in making this webinar a success. I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody. And I'm hoping that you will again sign up, join us on Twitter, follow us on our website, ask us questions, become members of Acen Nigeria chapter. On that note, I just want to say again a huge thank you. We're trying to make sure that we get everybody out of here at least 5 minutes after 4 so that we respect everybody's time. So again, on that note, thank you so much. Thank you so much on behalf of Acen Nigeria chapter members, and have a great, great Thursday. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.